All right, Jordan, the time has come. Um, we've kind of broken down the game. We've talked about the matchup. Um, we've kind of given our input on how Clemson stacks up against this Stanford team and vice versa. Now it's time to do some picks against the spread and give our score prediction on the game. So this game opened up as Clemson Clemson minus 22, so a 22-point favorite. It is currently 21.5 in favor of our Tigers. The over-under is 57.5. So what are your thoughts? You going over the 21.5? You going under the 21.5? And then you can give your score prediction.
Okay. As far as the point total is concerned, I'm going to go over.
Over the point total. So point total was 57.5.
57.5. Yeah, I'll go over.
Yeah, I would as well.
And this is assuming that we get a clean environment, relatively weather, fine weather day. Obviously that can muck things up, but I'm gonna go over just because this defense has to show that when it gets into its depth, it can play and get stops. And I expect Ashton Daniels to give them some issues because they just that's just kind of been what it is this year. And I mean, really, this is the first true running. This is the first true running threat that you've played this year. CJ Bailey was, he ran a good bit, but they don't do as much design stuff with him. And, a lot of what they did was drop back passing, and they leaned on their traditional run game. With Stanford, the quarterback run game is the centerpiece of their offense.
Well, I mean, he's their leading rusher. So
right. Yeah, he is. Yeah, literally, he is their leading rusher.
Their leading rusher.
So, that definitely makes things a little bit more interesting. And this, your linebacker play, as underwhelmed as I've been with it, they're going to have to show me that they can pass this test. So I think Stanford is going to get some plays, running the football. I think Ashton Daniels is going to get outside at times.
He's got. I'll give you a stat real quick. He's got more rushing attempts than Phil Maffa.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. that is pretty crazy. So, as far as that's concerned, I do think that Stanford will – I'm feeling kind of the 2 to 3 touchdown range for Stanford, I think. And so that's why I'm going over the point total because I do think Clemson is going to score a good bit as well. That's kind of where I'm feeling. And then against the spread – I like Clemson. This will be my first time this year. Well, actually, I picked Clemson to beat Georgia outright. So technically, this isn't my first time picking them to cover. But I'm going to pick Clemson and the points. And my final score, I like 45-17. I'm not going to pick Clemson to get into the 50s again, just because that's just regression to the mean sometimes happens, and it's a lot to ask to have for an offense to execute at the level that they have, especially in that first half, especially in the first half, 3 weeks in a row. So unfortunately, we're going to have a down game this year. This game, y'all, and only score 45.
Yeah,
so I'm feeling a 45-17 victory for Clemson, and on to Florida State, hopefully.
Absolutely, on to Florida State. Healthy and ready to roll. I, too, will go over the point total of 57.5 for this game. I think it goes over that point total. I am going to pick Clemson for the second time this season to cover the spread. The first time I picked them was obviously the Georgia game to cover the spread, and that did not work out very well at all. I got a score of 45-20. So Clemson gets the job done, 45. to 20 versus the Stanford Cardinals. That's how I see it going. Clemson gets a 25-point victory and covers that 21.5-point spread that is currently out there.
All right. Well, I think that's the second week in a row. We were 3 points off. We were picking the exact same score again for the second week.
We were dead on last week with our score prediction, and this week we're 3 points off. I had the 45-20 on there in my notes, and you had 45-17. So we're keeping it pretty close somehow this year. We're on the same wavelength with our score predictions. So we'll see if we can keep that going throughout the year. All right, guys, we got one more segment in the books before we turn the show over to you guys. We got 51 people in the live chat. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button if you have not already. As you guys know, at the end of the planned portion of the show, me and Jordan turn the show over to the live comment section and the live audience. So go ahead and get your comments, get your questions in there, throw your super chat feed in there. Ask us questions. We are going to do the BYOG or sales segment quickly, and then we are going to turn it over to you guys, chop it up with you guys for a little bit, and then get out of here and get ready for this Saturday's game in Death Valley versus the Stanford Cardinals. So, Jordan, without further ado, the most popular segment on this show, by far, BYOG or sell. I'll start it off tonight. We'll do a couple back and forth, and then we'll see if the comment section has any of their own BYOG or sells for us to read, and then we will transition to regular questions after that. I'm gonna do a Phil Maffa one. So BYOG or sell. Phil Maffa goes over 100 yards for the third game in a row.
Oh. Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. BYOG. Yeah, I do think this is the best offensive line that Stanford has faced by a good bit, for sure. And that combined with Phil Maffa, I think that, they won't be able to necessarily dedicate as many resources to the run as they typically do. Unless they're perfectly fine with getting beat over the top, because then otherwise, this offense has shown they can do it. So, I think we'll just keep it rolling, BYOG, and we'll get him over, because you've been able to break a lot of explosive run plays.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm banking on is an explosive run or two, but I'll take it. I'll take it until proven otherwise. BYOG, Phil Maffa going over 100 yards for the third game in a row.
Yep. All right. BYOG or sell. What was I had it in my head and then I lost it. A different player has led Clemson in receiving every single week. This week, BYOG or sell. It's Jake Brenningstool is your leading receiver.
Ooh. You know what? I will buy that. I'll go BYOG. He's due for a breakout game. He's had some flashes here or there, but he hasn't had that true breakout game yet this season. I think our boy Brenningstool's due, so I will go ahead and buy that. I think he's a matchup nightmare and could create some problems for this Stanford defense. Good luck to the linebackers or the safeties trying to guard him.
All right, you're up.
All right, BYOG or sell. Clemson will score 3 or more touchdowns in the first quarter.
First quarter.
Before the clock hits 0 on the first quarter, they got to have a minimum of 21 points on the board.
Ugh.
That's a big ask.
It is for the third week in a row. I'm going to
third
sell.
week in a row.
I'm going to sell because Stanford, they don't play with an extremely fast pace, and they're not. I mean, in the games against in the game against NC State, you benefited from a couple turnovers.
Yep.
I don't. And Stanford, they don't turn the ball over a ton. So they do play a slower pace. So I'm gonna say sell.
All right. I will do the same. I will sell on that. I don't think we do it for a third week in a row.
Yeah, they are not not going to want to pass if they don't have to, and
no,
obviously
they know their best bet is to try to slow the game down.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to limit possessions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do if I was them. So, yeah.
All right. BYOG or sell. Clemson holds Stanford to under 100 rushing yards as a team.
Clemson holds Stanford to 100 rushing yards as a team. I'm going to sell. I just think they're going to, I think Daniels will have a little bit of success kind of operating on broken plays and obviously the design QB run. This defense has shown somewhat of a vulnerability. If you can get out on the edge on them, you can bust or break off some bigger runs if you can get outside of that defensive end contain. They have shown, some vulnerability there this year. So I will sell on that.